Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income with real estate. Listen and learn how 90% of the millionaires in the world use real estate to create a life that most people only dream about. A life that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here's your host, real estate investor and consultant, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I am your host, Steve Davis, where as always we're talking about building a better life by building a second stream of income. You can do this with any business, but primarily we work with real estate because of the way that it makes money. And that's going to be the main subject of today's show, are the 4 ways that it makes you money and then the tax advantages that come along with it. But I want to kind of start the show with a sales pitch for our free introductory workshop coming up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. This will be, I'm really excited about it because it's the first time that my son Trevor will be teaching that class. And he has studied it for 6 months. He's lived it all his life because we lived really the concepts that we teach in that class as a family. Since he was about 8 years old, he knew about passive income. He knew about building wealth and the difference between a job and wealth. And by the time he graduated college, he had almost $4,000 a month in passive income from his 11 rent houses. And he's going to go over the 8 reasons that we chose real estate above all other investments. Then he'll go through 13 pillars of wealth and happiness that we used to run our families and our businesses that are extremely effective. So if you've been thinking about coming to this workshop, I really encourage you to make a point to come out tomorrow. It's 9 to about 10:15. We're done and out of there by 10:30 for sure. And listen to him, and you can see how we really ran our family for the I guess he's 28 now, for the last 20 years. So it's really a neat meeting, and if you're thinking about investing in real estate, you'll come out of it understanding the 8 reasons that real estate is superior to other investments, and of course you'll get the bonus 13 pillars of wealth and happiness. If you would like to check that out, please go to GetRealWealth.com, and in the upper right hand corner it will say free course or free workshop. Click that button and you can reserve a seat there. I will be there to observe, but it will be given by my son Trevor Davis. So I'm really excited about that and would love to see you there. Okay, let's talk now about the 4 ways that real estate makes you money. And my analysis is really going to show you how to make over a 300% rate of return the first year that you own real estate, a piece of real estate. A single family house is what our focus will be. This of course applies to commercial as well. You just don't analyze commercial the same way you do single family. So when we talk about the 4 ways, what we're talking about are cash flow, equity capture, equity buildup, and appreciation. And the nice thing about this little lesson is that a couple of these are really, really misunderstood. Appreciation is misunderstood by financial planners, the professionals, in so many ways, but the biggest one is their assumption that you've paid cash for the property. So we'll get to that in a minute. Let's first talk about the subject property. Let's take an average single family home. We try to stay between 150 and 200,000 ARV. You really should be ARV is after repaired value, 150 to 220 after repaired value, and you should be buying it 12% or more below market. And when I say below market, I'm talking about the ARV, of course, but I mean you've got to include the closing costs. I get so many people that email me deals. Is this a good deal? Is this a good deal? And guess what they leave off almost invariably? The closing costs. Your price for a home is as follows: purchase price, rehab, and closing costs. People leave those off all the time. They go, oh, I paid $105 for this house. No, you didn't. You had $8,000 in closing costs. You paid $113. So make sure you do not make that mistake. It's delusional not to include them, So make sure you do include them. I'm including them in this example. So we take your average single family home. I'm going with a $200,000 ARV. This one had massive deferred maintenance, and I'm talking to the tune of about $40,000 worth of rehab. Now, because of my contacts, I was able to get that $40,000 down to about $25,000. So we had a purchase price of $115. The rehab total was $25,000, and then we had $10,000 in closing costs and rehab costs. Holding. Closing and holding, because you really have to hold them about 2 months before they lease in a rehab like this. Your rehabbers are going to do somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 a month in rehab. I'm sorry, man, I'm goofing up. A week. In other words, if you've got a $14,000 rehab, it's going to take about 2 weeks. If you got a really competent contractor, he could do a $20,000 rehab in 2 weeks. So let's assume that we've got just your average contractor. They're going to do, with $25,000 rehab, it's going to take them around 4 weeks. Then you've got a month to refinance. You'll probably lease it that first month. More than likely it's going to lease the first week. But just for safety's sake, that's why I put the $10,000 in closing and holding costs on this deal. So that gives us an all-in price of $150,000. Now, those of you who are familiar with hard money loans picked up on something already. How much down is this deal? It's a zero down deal because it's 75% of the after repaired value. 75% of the after repaired value. Now, as you get better at this and more experience, there's banks that will go up to 80% of the after repaired value. Here's the problem. How do you do a cash flow analysis on zero down? You can't, because $1 profit on zero is infinite rate of return. So let's pretend like we put $20,000 down. We put 20 down. The first way that the deal makes you money, and in my opinion the most important, because this is what frees you up from your job or corporate America, is cash flow. We look at the cash flow analysis. We've got a $1,750 rent. We've got an $1,100 PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance payment. We're going to reserve $300 a month for maintenance and vacancy. That leaves us a cash flow of $350 or $4,200 per year. That's a 21% rate of return on your $20,000. As we go to break, think about this. What rate of return are you making on your money? We're making 21% just in cash. All right, we'll talk more after the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Thank you for listening. Do you dream of a better life for you and your family? Do you want more time with your family? Would you like to travel more? Would you like to be less dependent on a job for your income? The solution is simple. build a second stream of income. We can show you how. We are offering a free 2-hour introductory workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for you and your family. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're talking about the 4 ways that real estate makes you money, and then if we've got time, we'll talk about depreciation and the 1031 exchange and how it helps you keep your money. Really, and I haven't analyzed, obviously, every profession, but I think that real estate investors pretty much pay the lowest taxes of any for-profit group in the United States when you really look at how we earn our money and keep our money, keep a huge portion of it, compared to people in other businesses where they just get taxed to death. So the second way that real estate makes you money, and some people would argue the most important way, is a thing called equity pickup. Equity pickup. Equity pickup is the difference between what you paid for the property and what the ARV is. In this case, the difference is $200,000 minus $150,000 or $50,000 equity pickup. See, the moment you buy this piece of real estate, your net worth goes up $50,000. When you look at the rate of return on your $20,000, you take the $50,000 and divide it by $20,000. That's a 250% rate of return. Again, I want you thinking, what rate of return are you making on your money? You know, for most people, it's depressing. You know, they're running around going, woo, I made 7% last year. I made 250%. Might want to reconsider your investments. So that allows me to kind of poke fun at the 401k match. People will argue with me. I'll get emails, go, you're wrong about the 401k. I get a 21% rate of return on my real estate, but I get a 100% rate of return when my company matches my 401k up to 6% or whatever it is of my income. What did I just show you? 250%. So those of you bragging, or you think, woo, I get a 100% rate of return on my 401k, I'm not impressed. And you shouldn't be either. Because is there any limit on the way that real estate does it for you? No, there's no limit. No 6% limit, no 8% limit. It's unlimited. 100, 150, 200% rate of return. So the 401k match doesn't impress me. It only impresses people who don't know how to make money. They haven't invested the time or the energy to learn. So to them, that company match is a big deal. Sorry to tell you this. No, I'm not sorry to tell you. I'm happy to tell you, if you'll educate yourself a little bit, you won't even think that 100% match is a big deal anymore. Okay, the next way that it makes you money is a thing called principal paydown. Principal paydown. And what that refers to is each month your renter pays their rent. You then pay your mortgage. Part of that mortgage is principal paydown. You're reducing what you owe on that property every month when your renter pays your mortgage. Now, it's not going to be a huge amount the first few years. It becomes substantial, once you've owned it 15, 20 years. But even in the first year, it's about $1,800 on a deal like this, or an additional 9% rate of return. And to me, this is the worst reason to invest in real estate. There's no reason to buy real estate just for principal pay down, if that makes sense. These people that go out and they pay full price for a property hoping it's going to go up in value, and they calculate their rate of return and include the principal pay down. It's like, who cares? That's 9%. You know, a lot of people are making that in the stock market. So it's not a major reason to invest in real estate, but the other three are. And we'll head into number 4 in just a second. So what we've got so far, we've got about a 21% rate of return with the cash flow. We got a 250% rate of return with the equity capture. Our principal reduction is a 9% rate of return. And now we head to number 4, appreciation. And this is the one that I warned you about is so misunderstood by financial planners. And you've got to be patient with financial planners. They are not taught about real estate. They aren't. They're taught about stocks, mutual funds, gold, silver. They're taught about these middle class and poor investments that they want to manipulate the middle class and the poor into buying. And if you ask them about real estate, they're going to give you the wrong information. So I'm telling you right now, do not go to your 65,000-a-year financial planner and ask them about real estate. They can't help you. Unfortunately, many of them will try to help you. They'll try to control you, try and convince you not to do it. Example is this particular study we're doing right now. If you go to your financial planner and you say, yeah, I'm going to buy some real estate, they're going to go, wait a minute. I get it, real estate doubles in value every 20 years, but that's only about a 3% rate of return. You can make better than a 3% rate of return in the stock market, and you don't have to worry about tenants, toilets, or taxes. Well, wait a second. It's not a 3% rate of return. It's a 3% increase in the after repaired value, which is $6,000. But they assume that you've paid cash and full price for the property. Again, they're unqualified to advise you on real estate. You don't have $200,000 in that deal. You have $20,000. So if it goes up in value $6,000 divided by the $20,000 you have in it, what is that? It's a 30% rate of return, not a 3% rate of return. See how wrong they are? See, that's the way you have to look at these deals. What does it mean to you and your family? In this case, it means a 30% rate of return, bringing your grand total for the first year to 310% rate of return. Are you beating that? Are you getting anywhere near that? Probably not. Then it begs the question, why don't you have some real estate in your portfolio? What in the world are you so scared of? Oh, I can't have real estate. It's tenants, it's toilets, it's tax. And you got all these fears and excuses for why you don't have real estate in your portfolio. But you got to understand, they're just BS excuses. That's all it is. You're lying to yourself to keep yourself from taking action. You know better. You're just scared. You deserve to be making this type of rate of return. You don't deserve to be making 4, 5, 6, 7, 8%. You deserve to be making these types of rates of return. Now, for full disclosure, let's take it to the second year. Are you going to make 310% the second year? No. Why? Because there's no equity capture the second year, the 250%. So you're going to be left with a measly 60% rate of return on your money from that point forward. Let me say that again, 60% rate of return. You're stuck with it. I think most of you would enjoy being stuck with a 60% rate of return, wouldn't you? See, real estate is life-changing. Stocks, mutual funds, they're really just there to keep up with inflation. They're not there to make you money. They're there to keep up with inflation, and they do a pretty darn good job of that. The problem is you're never going to get rich, you're never going to retire, except for a few lucky people who accidentally picked Apple when it was $10 a share or something like that. And it is an accident. You know, they've proven that a million times. No one can pick stocks. No one has picked stocks over and over and over and over. Be careful. Some of you are going, what about Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett doesn't buy stocks. He buys companies. Read his book. Read his book if you have not. He buys companies. Quite different from what the average person is doing with the stock market and mutual funds. Okay, any questions about anything I've covered so far? Feel free to call me at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Or you're welcome to email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, we got to go to break, but I just got a question about explain to my wife the difference between good and bad debt. Okay, we'll do that when we come back from the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Remember that my email is open to you 24/7. When you're listening to the show, sometimes it's hard to think of a question, but after the show, you may forget something, or maybe I went over something too fast. Email me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Thanks for listening. Are you tired of losing money in every down market? Did you know that real estate makes money in both the up and down markets? In fact, we make more money in the down market. Hi, this is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Yes, we are praying for a down market, and you should know why. To find out why, attend our free 2-hour introductory workshop. To reserve a seat, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Right now, we're answering an email where a gentleman is probably having a heated discussion with their spouse about the difference between good and bad debt. And a lot of this springs from a wonderful person, Dave Ramsey, who, because he's trying to help the average person, he has a rule that all debt is bad. See, he's not trying to help the person who wants more out of life. He's not trying to help people that want to be millionaires. He's trying to help the average person. So he gives out average or middle class advice. Love the guy. Love what he does, but we're here for some people that are different. We're here for people who want to be financially independent. And to do that, it actually requires becoming a millionaire. And that may sound ridiculous. It may even scare you. Some of you just went, oh my God, I can't even imagine. It's impossible. Wipe that out of your head. Wipe it out. It is possible. It's happening every day, and it's happening to more and more and more people. So my show is for people who want to take it to the top. They want to be top dogs, and they don't want to be average. For the average person, debt is bad. But for the people who want to be top dogs, there's a thing called good debt. See, cars, credit cards, putting travel on credit, putting jewelry on credit, putting clothes on credit, all those things, I agree with them. Bad. I mean, people paying 13, 20% interest on their credit cards, you are screwed. There is no, you've got to pay those things off and get out of that debt. That is destroying you. And people don't even recognize it. They just think, oh, I make my minimum payment every month. Crazy. It's destroying your life financially. You got to get out of that situation. But income producing debt, groups of houses, rental houses, little apartment complexes, mid-sized apartment, big apartment complexes, strip shopping centers, storage facilities, mobile home parks. I could go on and on of these real estate businesses that really pretty much require debt, and it's good debt. It's simply income producing debt is good. Any debt that comes out of your earned income is bad. That's the danger. And it's really neither good nor bad, because there's times you're going to use bad credit, the bad types of credit. You might fall in love and buy somebody a $30,000 ring, and you might not have $30,000. Okay, you use credit for a year to buy that ring. I'm fine with that, as long as you use it for a year and not 18 years, which is what it would take to pay off if you made the minimum payment. So even bad debt has its uses, but you want to use it as sparingly as possible. And then when you reach a certain point, you won't use it ever again. Think about it. If you've got $1 million in the bank and you want to buy a $30,000 ring, are you going to put that on a credit card? Well, you might, to get your mileage or to get your kickback, but you're going to pay it off when? Before they start charging interest. You're going to pay it off the first month. So, what's the one thing that I left out of both of those categories? Your home. And this one's this is probably the touchy situation, or the touchy part of the discussion between this gentleman and his wife. See, your home can be bad debt, or your home can be good debt. Example, if you go out and you get your ego involved and you start racing with the Joneses and trying to keep up with them, and you buy some ridiculous $500,000 or $1 million home, and that comes out of your earned income, sorry, that falls into the bad category. Now, you may have to do it. You know, we all need a place to live, and owning is better than renting in almost every circumstance. So we do it. But that does fall under bad. But what if you had your home paid off and you found an apartment? Say you got a $500,000 home paid in full, and you found a little 20-unit apartment that you could buy for $400,000 down. You could turn that home into good debt. You go get a loan against that home at about 3.5%, and you go buy the apartment that makes you, say, 35%. That apartment then pays your house note and leaves you some cash left over in the form of cash flow. Do you see how that could be good debt? Your home could actually be good debt if you use it to buy income producing assets. And it's important to do that if you've got major amounts of equity in your home. Otherwise, it's just dead equity. It's dead money. It's worse than having a savings account, which, by the way, is negative cash flow. You know, so many people are so proud of their savings account. It's like, you're kidding me, right? You know you're losing money. Inflation's close to 3% or over 3%, and you're being paid 1.2 or 1.5%. You're losing money by having a savings account, and you're proud of that. Might want to rethink again your investment strategy. So tell your wife, or hopefully she's listening, ma'am, there are two types of debt, good and bad. Income stealing and income producing. Income stealing, bad. Income producing, good. And it is no exaggeration that before the end of this year, I want to pick up another $10 million worth of debt. And see, it's funny, when people talk about $100,000 worth of debt, they get nervous. Why? Because it's usually their debt. But when you start talking about $10 million worth of debt, most people go, I get that. Because it's obviously a business. It's obviously going to be making you money. It's just different when you start seeing these big numbers for you and your family. And every single, this is so funny. Not many people are aware of this, but did you know it's easier to buy a $10 million apartment complex than it is to buy a group of single family houses? Why? Because they're going against your income, your job, and your rents. They look to you to be able to make those payments. With the apartment complex, do they think you're going to make the payment on that $10 million property? No. The property pays that mortgage. They look to the property to pay it. Now, that's an oversimplification of that concept, but it is no joke. It was easier for me to buy my first 200 unit than it was to buy my first, say, 10 houses or 20 houses. Much easier. I was in shock, to be honest with you. Okay, phone lines are open at 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or you're welcome to email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. So the next thing we want to talk about is that real estate investors pay the lowest taxes of any for-profit group. And it's because of a thing called depreciation, which protects your cash flow, and a 1031 exchange, which protects your appreciation. 1031. So you've got depreciation protecting your cash flow, and a 1031 protecting your appreciation or your profit in the event of a sale. And we've got to go to break in about 30 seconds. So I'll save this for the final segment, which is coming up. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Or you can email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. This is, of course, the getrealwealth.com radio show. If you want to meet me and my son, who will be presenting to workshop tomorrow morning, go to getrealwealth.com, and in the upper right hand corner choose the free workshop. Thanks for listening. We'll talk more after the break. Hi, This is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Catastrophes happen in the U.S. and around the world on a regular basis, causing tremendous financial difficulty for those unprepared. However, some people are prepared. These are the people with a second stream of income. This month, we are offering a free 2-hour workshop on how to use real estate to build a second stream of income for your family. For reservations, visit GetRealWealth.com and click on the free workshop button at the top of the page. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, where we're always talking about, building that second stream of income. It's really not an option anymore. It's really a requirement. Jobs are not what they were even 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but certainly not what they were 50 years ago. It's an insurance plan against COVID. It's an insurance plan against Hurricane Ike. It's an insurance plan against a recession. It's just a peaceful way to live. Is it hard work? Yes. Does it take a lot of dedication? Yes. But it's so worth it. I'm telling you, your quality of lifestyle, when you have enough income coming in from your real estate that it meets and exceeds your family's wants and needs, and you no longer have to work, your quality of lifestyle is insane. Insane. You sleep better. Life is more peaceful. Life is more joyful. It's incredible compared to constantly worrying about layoffs, constantly worrying about recessions, constantly worrying about COVID. It's just a different way to live. And we also, again, pay the lowest taxes of any for-profit group, which is what we're talking about now. We're going to first talk about depreciation. And what depreciation protects is your cash flow. Say you've got a 60-unit apartment and your cash flow on it is $240,000 a year or something like that. Do you owe taxes on that $240,000? Yes. Are you going to pay it? No. You get to depreciate that asset. And for this example, we're going to say $200,000. That means that even though you put $240,000 in your pocket, you only owe taxes on $40,000. So if you think about it, you're only paying taxes on about 20%. That means 80% of it was essentially tax free. Think about it. What if you had 80% of your taxes back from the last 5, 10, 15, some of you 20 plus years? What kind of financial position would you be in? It's quite different, isn't it? Let's take it a step further. You sell the building and you make $2 million profit. Do you owe taxes on that profit? Yes. Are you going to pay it? Not one dime. You get to take that $2 million and go buy a building that's bigger, produces more cash flow. It has to cost at least $1 more than the one you sold. And you get to keep every dime of that $2 million working for you and your family. Think about it. What if you had 100% of your taxes back from the last 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years, all working in one account for you? What kind of financial position would you be in? What would your life be like if you had all that money back? Now, those of you who are astute are going, yeah, but Steve, it's really not tax-free. It's tax-deferred. It's deferred till after you're dead. You say, well, then the kids have to pay it. Nope. Teach them how to defer it till after they're dead. And so on, and so on. No, it really can be tax-free for generation after generation after generation. I've not seen one other tool as powerful for legacy as real estate. It's just incredible. So we're paying 20% taxes on, we're only paying taxes on 20% of our cash flow, and we're paying no taxes on our profit. How about yours? You say, well, I'm in an IRA or 401k. Well, wait till you pull it out. You'll be taxed. You'll be taxed. So those things really don't count. They don't really save you taxes. I know I hurt people's feelings when I bring this point up, but IRAs and 401ks only save you taxes if you fail financially. If you go out there and you succeed and you retire with high income, you're in the same tax bracket you were when you were working. So when you pull your money out of the 401k or IRA, you're in the same tax bracket. You didn't save anything, and you lost control of the money for 20 years, 30 years, some of you even longer. So those tools are, for the average person, useless. Now, do we use 401s? Yes, but only under specific circumstances. We use it almost as a legacy tool, just like the just like the 1031 exchange. So they do have their place. If you've got money in a 401k, you can use it to buy real estate without tax or penalty, just like you can with an IRA. So yeah, I guess I shouldn't be too negative on them to where you think that we should never use them. We do use them, but we use them in a specific way that allows us to buy real estate and build a legacy for our family. Okay, phone lines are open. If you've got any questions on anything I've covered today, feel free to call me right now at 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Okay, got an email here from a listener who wants me to repeat the 4 ways. They are, for every dollar that you put into a piece of real estate, they are cash flow, equity capture, equity buildup, and appreciation. Cash flow is the rent after all expenses are taken out. That's your net. Should be between $300 and $400 per single family house. Equity capture is the difference between what you paid for the house, all in, including closing costs, and the actual ARV, after repaired value. Equity buildup is every month your renter pays their rent, and you reduce what you owe on the property when you pay your mortgage. That's equity buildup. And then there's appreciation. Real estate doubles in value about every 20 years, which translates to about a 3% increase every year. But remember, that 3% increase is not a 3% rate of return. In this case study that we did, it's a 30% rate of return. And yes, Trevor's going to go over this case study tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. If you want to meet him, meet me, and see this case study in detail, go to getrealwealth.com, and in the upper right hand corner, choose the free workshop and reserve a seat. And again, we're done and out of there. Starts at 9. We're done and out of there by 10:30. So check that out at getrealwealth.com. Okay, next question is, no, this is a discussion alert. This is a question. Someone's asking, this is actually an employee asking this question. I don't know if they're listening to the radio show right now, but the there's multifamily discussion throughout the day. In other words, there's no way to take part of our one-day course. Sorry. The material that you need for multifamily, the material that you need for single family is intertwined. So they need to see the entire one-day class. Next question is a wholesale question. The wholesaler in question, Sal, has built a buyer's list. This is funny. Sal is a little bit nervous about calling his buyer's list. He's got a deal, wants to know if it's a good deal. Well, Sal, there's no way I can analyze this deal based off the information that you've given me. I would need the comparable sales to analyze this deal. You've got an ARV here, but I don't know how it was arrived at. If based on what you've said in your email, this thing is a cash flowing rental property. But if you're thinking this is a flip, I don't believe so. This is probably a good rental property. So Sal, don't be afraid. Pick up the phone. The first 10 of them may say no. Who cares? You're now 10 no's closer to a yes. So Sal, please get this deal in front of your buyers immediately. Okay. Thanks everybody for listening. This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Take care.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.